football team. We cheer the Pittsburgh Steelers.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Picksburgh. This is Anthony, and I just wanted to show you what I'm doing today. I just did a live show where I unboxed an auction order that I got from Donatella Bottolino that she did on Derek NASCAR Man 3345's channel last Monday. And when I went through it, there were several games that did not work. Really, there was, I think, only 3 of them that worked whenever I fired it up. But there's 7 total games, and 4 of them didn't work. So what I've been doing is, actually there was 8 total, not 7. I went and grabbed some isopropyl rubbing alcohol, and I grabbed a handful of these ear cleaner things, Q-tips. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. As you can see, this one's kind of dirty. I just got done cleaning a Star Fox cartridge, which I'm now testing. I have it in my N64, and it appears to be working. I'm through the menu of it, and I'm going to see if I can get a little bit of gameplay. I'm going to test out the controller, make sure everything's working. That way I can sell it as tested and working. I know a lot of people will just, say stuff's tested, but typically when it's it's working really well. All the functions, I just blew down a ship. There we go. And this game is awesome too, guys. This game's an easy $20 every day of the week. But you could definitely, get more in certain instances for Star Fox 64. I've seen some people get up to 30 for it, but it's an easy 20 without question. So this game works very well. I'm able to maneuver well, and it's working like a charm. I couldn't even get it to fire up before I cleaned it out. So now that I cleaned it out, it works really good. So I'm going to go ahead and take that one out. I'm going to put this aside as working. I just went ahead and I swiped through this one. This is the other one. I had 2 copies of this. Neither one worked, so I'm going to try to pop this one in now that I cleaned it and see if it works. Fires right up. I went through off camera and I did all of these NES games. I have 2 Tetrises and a Ninja Gaiden. None of them worked even slightly when we were testing them before. Now that I went through and cleaned them with that, they work really well. I have a couple other games here that work, but they caused a little bit of an issue. I'm going to go ahead and clean those out really well. And then the ones that fired right up were these 3, but they're really dirty on the inside. So I'm going to show you how I actually go about cleaning that stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and get this Star Fox game fired up real quick, just so I can see if it'll work like the other one did. So I'm all the way through the menu. I'm in the process of it loading the world I'm going to, which is just the first world in the game. Alright, come on, people. And I wish I could show you, like, when I went live, I'll have to do that more often. I had my phone set up facing the TV where I test, so you can see me talking and everything, but then you can also see a split screen of what I'm actually doing in live. It was just really cool. You had to see it. If you go back to my last video, you will see it, which is super cool. I wish I would have thought to have had this stuff with me when I did that, because I could have just kept the live show rolling and cleaned everything and tested it live. That would have probably been much better. So I'm to the point now where the level is loading up. So I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can do all the controls, maneuver, and all that stuff, just to make sure it's loading up properly. Because I've had games, even if it looks like they're working, if they don't load properly, there could be an issue. You got to make sure it saves properly, all that stuff. So that's all I'm doing right now, is I'm going through the motions of making sure that it'll work, which I don't see why it wouldn't, because it's been working just fine up to now, which is great, because these are games that a lot of people would have just chalked out as broken or not working. Just that little bit of work with rubbing alcohol and the Q-tip brought these games back to life, and they're working beautifully. They're working like I just pulled them out brand new. So, pretty happy to have that be the case. Alright, so this works really good. Full functionability. I can use all the different buttons and everything. So I'm happy with that. So now that is 2 Star Fox 64 games that work beautifully. So now that I did that, I'm going to clean out some of these other games, and I'll just show you how easy it is. I mean, I'm sure it's not rocket science, but you get the Q-tip, you get your isopropyl, just kind of put it up there and dip it in there real good, get it real, like, you know, real wet, and get it all in there, and then you'll see the inside of these. One of these games, I can't remember which one it was like really sticky on the inside. This will get all of that off, but you definitely want to scrub at the contacts. I don't know if you can see how I'm like scrubbing at that, trying to get all the nasty caked on years of dust and crud and whatever, you know, out of there. You imagine all the kids that probably were blown in these back in the day, because most of these cartridge-based systems, you know, people would blow in them to get them to work when they weren't. I can imagine kids with like sticky lips or candy or something getting, you know, all kinds of funk up in these. So now these work. They just didn't fire up on the first try last time. So I'm thinking after I give it this good cleaning, it should fire right up. I always try to air it out so it's not like soaking wet when I put it in. But I mean, look at the difference in that Q-tip. One side's like all gray and nasty, and the other side is white. So we got all that funk off. This is Banjo-Kazooie. It should fire up on the first time now. It's fired up. It's working great. I did get a little bit of gameplay of this on the live stream, so I really don't need to go through and do that because I know it works. It just was, you know, acting stupid there for a minute. So there's 3 games I got from Donatella, 2 of which weren't working that are now working fine, and 1 of which that was working, just not like at a peak level. So this one definitely wasn't working at a peak level either. This is Banjo-Tooie. And as you can see, this one wasn't super well taken care of. It has scribble on there and everything. And as you can see, there's even like, I don't know if that's like a cobweb in there or what it is. But I'm going to scrub all that out right now. It almost looks like the board here is like, I don't want to say rusted, but, you know, I mean, it has that kind of appeal to it. Just looking at it. So I'm going to just scrub the heck out of it. See, look, that's coming off brown. It came off gray before. This time it's coming off brown, which is pretty nasty. So this is going to need a good hard scrub. I can't remember. This might have been the one that had all that junk in it, too. I can't remember. Alright, so that looks a lot better. See if I can get it to fire up first time. It didn't fire up first time last time, I don't believe. Yep, fired right up. So I know it works from last time. So there we go. That is now officially clean. Look at how filthy that was, though. Like, it's definitely needed a nice scrub. Once I'm done cleaning the insides and they work, I'm going to go and clean the outer cartridge as well, and I'll show you how I do that as well. Which I'm sure most of you guys know how to do this already, but in the off case there's somebody that doesn't do video games, especially retro games, you know, like it could have been something that you only do on disc-based games, like you might be younger and you just never got into the old stuff like this. So I grew up on these disc-based games, and I still love the disc-based games. So, or not disc, cartridge-based games. So, this is just something that I have a background in being able to do. I used to pride myself whenever I'd have people give up on games, say they don't work, and then basically give them to me to either sell or keep. Being able to get them to work, add them to my collection or whatnot. Now this one, Forsaken 64, gave me trouble booting up last time, so let's see if it'll work now. It did boot up and it did work. It was just a pain in the butt too, and it fired right up first time now. So that is another game that works great. Like I said, I cleaned out all of these NES games. I do have 2 other games that I didn't get from Donatello that could really... Diddy Kong was the one I think had sticky stuff in it or whatever. Did it? Okay. I know it wasn't Yoshi. Yoshi was in a lot better shape, I think. Let's clean out Yoshi first. Yoshi actually has pretty nice looking... Yoshi's Story has pretty nice looking contacts in here. Still going to scrub the heck out of it to make it nice and fresh in there. I'm going to try to kind of clean around the cart too, just so if there's any like funk around it, it won't end up getting stuck onto the contact. Because the contact's how you actually play the game. The cartridge is just something that holds the contact. So contact is pretty much everything when it comes to these games. And yeah, Yoshi was pretty dirty. Needed a good cleaning. Fires right up though. So that's another good game. Don't know if I'm going to add that to the collection or if I'm going to sell that. I do collect first-party Nintendo games. The nice thing about first-party ones is they never lose value. They're always in demand. So Nintendo just makes awesome games. So, I don't know. So I'll see if I want to keep that one or not. I might play it for a while and then get rid of it. I haven't decided. This is another one I'm considering keeping, is this Diddy Kong Racing. Just depending on, you know. Come on. This one I had a lot of trouble with. At first, this thing didn't work at all. So, getting this thing to work would be, to work well would be huge. It'd definitely be bringing this thing back to life. And this is like real cruddy on the inside, so I'm going to need to actually do both sides of the Q-tip on this one. I'll just scrub the heck out of this thing. But yeah, I love bringing old video games back to life. I really do. I can do basic stuff with video games as far as like repair. I can't do anything like with soldering or anything like that. But one YouTube channel that I really learned a lot from as far as bringing old games back to life, it's called Reen Bean. If you're into video games, hunting, any of that stuff, he's a reseller from North Carolina, and he basically specializes in video games. He'll sell a little bit of everything, though, just like any of us other resellers. But his passion is video games, and he has this huge video game room. It's just a really cool channel. Definitely check him out if you get a chance. And if you do, tell him Picksburgh sent you. That way he, knows that I appreciate him. Yep, this fires up on the first time now too. So it's amazing what a little bit of rubbing alcohol will do to a cartridge-based game. So literally every single game fires up on the first time now. So now that I did that, that's dried out. I'm gonna start off with one of these Huggies baby wipes. We bought a bunch of these. Ashley wanted them because there was Mickey Mouse on the cover. Even though she doesn't use them, I just use them in the shop to wipe things down. I like to make sure everything's presentable whenever I either take pictures to list it or definitely whenever I ship it out to somebody. I want to make sure they're happy with it. I want it to look like they're getting a really good deal. Even if I get something that's completely cruddy and nasty, I always want to clean it up. So this cart was in decent shape to begin with, so it's not a huge ordeal. As you can see, not a whole lot of dirt came off of that. There is some, but then I'm going to use the other one just to kind of wipe up all the excess. Okay. This label's starting to come up a little bit, so got to be careful with that. Label is a big deal to collectors. Granted, Tetris isn't, it's a good game, it's a staple game, but it's not an expensive game, so I'm not too worried about that. But there are ways to get that to stick down a little bit more, but I'm not going to worry about it. But as you can see, it's in nice condition. It looks like it was well taken care of. This one, alright, so I'm going to get scrubbing on this. This one's a little dirtier. It does have a price sticker on it for $10. I haven't decided yet if I want to pull that off. There's different ways to go about doing that. You could use a heat gun. I don't typically like using heat guns much on cartridge-based games, just for the fact that stickers are important. Like, I don't want this to pull up. I don't want this to start pulling up or anything like that. I don't want anything to melt either. Which, I mean, obviously, anyone with common sense, keyword common sense, isn't going to hold it on a plastic cartridge till it melts. But for stuff like this, I find it's a little bit easier. I don't have one, and I probably should get one, a Scotty Pillar, to go ahead and use that. But what I'll do is I'll just pick at it with my nail, as such. Here, I'll show you a little bit better. Wait, let me dry this off right quick. And what I'm going to actually use is, it's like a spin-off of Goo Gone. It's called Goof Off. And I'm going to use that to get up all the stickiness. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of peeling away at this price tag here. And as you know, it leaves all that, junk behind, like the stickiness and, all that stuff you don't want on there, because it makes the cartridge look trashy. It makes it look like it, the person who owned it didn't really take care of it. At least that's what I would think as a consumer. Because when I'm looking to get a cartridge, or a game like that, I want it to look nice. I want it to be, if it's like a newer one where it's disc-based, I want it to be complete in box. If it's an older one, I'm okay with buying a cart, but I want a cart that looks like it was taken care of. There's like sticky stuff up in the corners here. So I've got that about as good as I want to get that with my fingernails. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab... have this over here I've been using. It's a paper towel. Nothing fancy. Sometimes I'll use the dried out baby wipes as well. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and spray some of this in there. Now I'm going to tack right there where that is. And I'm going to try not to put it on the label as much as possible. It's not going to do a whole lot, but it could take away some of the paint on the label. But this stuff works like a charm. It really does. But like I said, try to avoid the label because it will take off some of the paint. So, I'm really staying away from that label. And sometimes it can leave a little bit of a film on there. I'm pretty good about making sure it's scrubbed off really, really well with the dry side of the paper towel. So that's completely off. You can't really even tell there was anything there now. I'm going to hit the top right here because it's all sticky and funky. So I'm guessing at some point there was a label that went over the top of this too. So this game's probably been bought and sold, at least two, 3 times. Probably more, being that Donatella had it and then I got it. So yeah, this game's been around the block. It's been to multiple users. Excuse me. It's a heck of a slip of the tongue, huh? Alright. Go ahead and get all that off. There we go. There we go. Much better. I don't know if you can see that, but it took, pretty much all of that off. So this game is good to go. It can now be listed and sold. Next one we're going to do is Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden's not in terrible condition. So actually, you know what? There is some pen on it. And sometimes the goof off will work on pen too. So we're going to try to get that off as well. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and get it wiped down with the wet one. That's not it either. Here we go. Just going to give it a nice little wipe. Try to avoid the label as much as possible because I don't want it peeling up on me. But Ninja Gaiden's a pretty popular game too. Right, so then the dry one, I'm going to just go over it and just try to dry it up a little bit. Okay, now that it is dry, we're going to go back in, use the goof off again. And I do like to make sure the goof off's always fresh on there. You might not always need to, but I feel like doing it, so I'm going to. So we're going to try to remove this pen. I don't know if it says RB or BB or something like that, but I'm going to see if I can get it off with the goof off. It's coming. Hoping to get it all, though. Yeah, it's coming. I may be able to get it all off. This works really good with marker and stuff like that, too. The one that's going to be challenging is the Banjo Tooie, because there's black marker all on the label. I don't know if I want to use this on the label because, like I said, it will pull off the paint. So that's going to be a tough call if I want to leave the scribble on there or if I want to like screw up the label completely. So that's kind of where I'd be with that. There was a little bit of like crud on the side here too that I'm trying to lift up. There's a little bit of that BB left here. I'm going to try to get that off a little bit better. Scrub it nice and hard. But yeah, these are good things to have if you're a video, especially a retro video game seller. These are some nice things to have because you can buy retro games very cheap, especially if people say they don't work. And a lot of times with the older ones, you can bring them back just by doing stuff like this. You know what I mean? Like if they have stuff written on them, people are gonna devalue them. Knowing that you can clean the cart just by using some of this, like look, that BB is completely gone on there. So it definitely pays to take a couple minutes to go ahead and clean that off. Now this is sellable, and it looks like it's been well taken care of because I took the time to go ahead and clean it really well. Like, look, this card is just dirty as all get up. I don't know if you can see how dirty it is just by looking at it, but there's like stuff sticking on it. You know what I mean? Like, it looks like a dirty table that needs Windex down. So, first thing I'm going to do there is I'm going to just start off with the baby wipe, wet wipe. And again, I'm going to try to stay away from the label. You definitely don't want to be on the label, because that thing peels up. It definitely devalues the game. And this game right here is an easy $20 bill all day. So the baby wipe picks up a good bit of the nastiness that's on there. There's even some little bit of pen marking on the top that's coming right off with the baby wipe. Whatever doesn't come off, I can use the goof off to take it off. But essentially, now that I got this game working the way it should, I just want to get the cart presentable, and it's really dirty down below. So I'm going to definitely scrub at that. That might even need some goof off. It's so dirty down there. We'll see though. See how well I can get it with this wet wipe. Wet wipes are great though for cleaning stuff. They really are. And then when you're done, you just throw them in the trash, and that's that. Sometimes I'll use them and I won't need them fully, for their full extent before they're all used up. So if that happens, I'll leave a couple that just dry out, and then I'll use them as rags for goof off, or rags for drying stuff. So there's multi-purposes for using them. The back of this is pretty dirty as well. So I'm going to give it a nice hard scrubbing. So most of it's lifting up, but I think just with the way that this cart looks, I'm probably going to still use a little bit of goof off on the back, just because you probably can't see it here, but it just looks like there's a little bit of film on it. You know what I mean, like a dirty film. So I'm gonna hit it with some goof off too. Most of the griminess though did come off with the wet wipe, but just to be on the safe side, I want this to be presentable. I want it to, and that's the other thing. If your game looks nicer than somebody else's game that just looks old and dirty, somebody's going to buy your game. So you want to make sure your items are presentable. Like, a lot of this is probably not necessary that I'm doing. It could have just been sold after wiping it down. Like, to be be 100% honest with you, and it wouldn't have been an issue. But for me, for the purposes of this video, to show you how it's done, I wanted to make sure I was a little more thorough with that. So then I'm going to hit it all around too. Being that I'm hitting the back, I might as well hit the front because I'm already on this cart. You know what I mean? Just to make it look a little bit better. I'll probably hit the top where it looked like it had something written on there. That I got most of it off with the wet wipe. So it'll be completely gone by the time I'm finished with this. So then I'm going to hit the bottoms because the bottoms are really janky looking. So I'll definitely polish those up pretty nicely. And then I'll show you the cart. I'm just drying it off right now. It's going to look a lot better. It's going to look like it's been well taken care of, even though this thing was not even working in the beginning of the day. So there you go. Film's completely gone. Looks nice and clean. The inner part of this still doesn't look 100% great, but it works. Fires up on the first try, so that's more than I could have said previously. So that game's clean. It's ready to list. This one is in decent enough shape. Oh, you know, the back is pretty dirty. I don't know if you can tell with the lighting here. But the back, it's got some dirt on it. So I'm going to wet wipe that down. And if it doesn't come up, we'll just use a little bit more of that. Oh yeah, that's in there. That's going to need a goof-off job. What the heck is that? First I thought it was just dirt, but it's like embedded in there. I don't know if you can see it better now that it's wet. You know, it almost looks like a colored pencil on there, which very well might be what it is, because who knows what the heck little kids do. I mean, there's like a mark on top too. If you can see that very well, it's right here. The cart is a tad bit sticky, so I mean, I'm assuming at some point a child owned this, or somebody just didn't keep it in a safe enough place to keep it unsticky. So I'm gonna wipe off that, and we're gonna use some more goof off to try to get this cart looking squeaky clean again. So drop it. This wouldn't bother me too bad if I was buying it, but I'm selling it, and there's a lot of people that collect these and want them in nice condition. So again, I'm just gonna use the goof off. A good bit of it's picking up. Oh yeah, this goof off is legit. Like honestly, I speak very highly of it. And again, a lot of people don't like the film it leaves. I'm able to get the film off. You know what I mean? So it's not a huge ordeal. It's not a deal breaker for me. But it's cheap. It's a great buy. I stand behind it, 100%. We'll definitely need it for Banjo-Tooie. It has a kind of janky looking worn out label on it that needs pulled off. But yeah, I mean, a Scotty peeler is definitely going to be something in my future that I'm going to have to pick up. Just to so look on the top of that, it's already it's already off. You know, you can kind of see on the label there what it looked like up top, and a lot of that's off already. So I'm really going to have to decide whether or not I want to hit the label with this, because like I said, it very well could just pull up the actual coloring on the label. So that's always a risk you have to weigh, whether or not you're willing to risk the actual label getting damaged more so than it already is. So let me see if I just hit it like soft, if I can get that little bit off. Alright, I don't want to hit it too hard, because like I said, it's going to completely pull off the paint, and I really don't want that to happen. I'm just going to try to make that line a little fainter that's going through it. Okay. So for me, that's good enough. You can still see a little bit of discoloration in there, but I was able to basically dull out that line going down it. You know what I mean? Without tainting too much of what the label's supposed to look like. But it's a fine line, because if I did it anymore, it's going to start wearing out the color, and it's going to look like, it had water damage or something like that. So you really have to be careful, and you just have to know the balance of how much can you hit it without actually making it worse. So Forsaken 64 done, ready to sell. This one's got some of that same stuff in it right here. Definitely needs, it's definitely going to need some goof off. I will go ahead and give it just a fine cleaning real quick with the baby wipe, just to, kind of pick up as much as that can. I always hit the baby wipe first, because sometimes that's all you need is the baby wipe. But again, if you want it to look as, clean and nice as possible, you're definitely going to want to keep hitting it with the goof off. So this one is definitely going to need some fresh goof off because it's dirty. And already it's just picking up those years of stickiness and stains and all that. So this stuff is literally like miracle working as far as stains and gooey stuff goes on cartridges and other items. I mean, you can use this even if like you're doing RA and you want to take off stickers. Scotty pillars work just as well for the most part, if you have them. But even this, like if say you screw up with the Scotty pillar, this is a good option to get that sticky tackiness left behind. Dang, there's a lot of crud on the back of this game. A lot of it. There's a little bit on that back sticker too. I'm trying not to wear it away. I'm trying not to even hit it too much. But that's something that's semi-common. My wife over here messaging me from work. Today is her first day back after surgery, so I'm hoping everything's going well there for her. My phone's like literally close to death, so I'm trying not to use it or anything till I head upstairs. I had a charger for down here that when she had surgery, I had it plugged into my computer, and I guess I don't know how it ended up breaking, long story short. So now I can't charge my phone while I'm down here unless I bring my charger from my bedroom, which I hate doing because then it'll be nighttime and I have to charge my phone before bed, so that way I can wake up in the morning with my alarm. And I always end up having to run down here like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, and it sucks. Especially like when you're starting to get like that real tired, like you're about to drift off into sleep. For me, I have trouble sleeping, so like having to get up and then come down here and have to get tired all over again, it's not ideal. So I'm gonna have to get another charger too, long story short. But as you can see, it looks good. It's ready to sell. This one's the Triflin one. These are basically going to need that same kind of just like light cleaning. This one's going to be a pain in the butt because this sticker has been like worn for years and years. So getting that up is going to be a pain in the butt. But I'm sure you guys don't want to sit here and watch me literally go through all of this. Let me see if I can lightly hit this sticker just to see if I can get that marker up. Because as you can see just from the first swipe, it's starting to come up. But I don't want all of that green and all that to come up too with it. So I'm going to try to just lightly swipe at that. And I'll clean the rest of this stuff off of, off camera. Because I'm sure you don't want to sit here for hours. Just see, look right here. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little bit of difference in that green and the green around it. It's because this starts to, you can even see a little bit of green in here. It starts to pick it up, so you have to be really careful. So I'm not gonna hit that anymore. I lightened up a little bit of the scribble, but even in the Banjo Tooie, look at that eye. That eye, the red in that eye is coming up from the goof off. So I'm not gonna mess with that anymore. I will get this sticker off completely. And I will clean the rest of the cart so it'll look really nice. But I'm not going to do that right now because, first of all, it's not necessary to do it right this minute. But secondly, um, I want to make sure that this video doesn't drag on and on and on, being that I've already rambled at you for 35 minutes. So, guys, I appreciate you watching. I hope you learned something. Until next time, take it easy.